feel just as welcome at the Black Love Festival as I feel in the White House. So let's make that clear. Oftentimes I have to defend when we say Black Love Festival and blah, 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 why is it just focused on African Americans or people of color and I say, well, we have to speak to the unique experience that we have had in this world, Western society. Oftentimes I hear people say, oh, slavery was such a long time ago, primarily from Black people. And we have to educate them because I like everyone to just take a moment to imagine if you was arrested and the handcuffs were put on you and it was too tight to the point it was nearly cutting off circulation, you probably would wear those cuffs for less than an hour till they got you where you're going. But you would feel the effects of those cuffs for days afterwards. Now imagine if you was brutalized by the police during that time. You was assaulted during that time. How long will those memories be in your head? How many times will you see a police officer and be fearful or have those emotions and those anxieties and those old issues come up? That's just one incident, one day. Now let's take it to 400 years. Because Black people has been legally oppressed by the government of the United States of America up until 1965. Let's be clear that this is on books, government sanctioned, okay, to 1965. We're here to 2010. That's less than 50 years of so-called open society and complete access. So forgive me if I'm a little impatient, to when I have to justify on where we are, what we're dealing with, because then we have to argue about affirmative action, and they say reverse racism. No, it's there to help get us to where we need to be. So I want to make sure we're on the same plane there, all right? So what we're here for, when you do this Black Love Festival, is music, poetry, information. It's not this angry event, it's an upliftment, it's a testimony to truth and justice. Many of you know very well that the TV is not giving you accurate information. Many of you know very well that the newspapers are not printing accurate information because primarily 6 corporations control everything we see, hear, and read. And that dumbing down society has gone without protest for by and large. Well, we have to embrace uprooting of our souls and complacency. That is necessary for us to act upon any information that these wonderful people up here are giving to us. We're basically saying, like, big developers, oil companies, and these automakers who are benefiting over this fossil fuel dependent society. Your boy George Bush says we're addicted to oil, and then we continue to go on sticking the needle in our veins because we have done nothing to address it. I'm outraged when I see someone driving a Hummer, because you have chose in 2010 to drive the most fuel inefficient vehicle on the planet. What does that say? That's a political statement you're making. That's like screaming "drill, baby, drill" from like your loudspeakers. And we need to address this. And not to let our popular president off the hook, but he supported offshore drilling and still does. Let's be clear. He's even said clean coal. Let's be clear. There's no such thing as clean coal. If you don't remember nothing else, walk out here knowing there's no such thing as clean coal. It's not a green initiative for you to somehow decrease the amount of pollution you're putting out into the world. That's not a green initiative. Let's be clear about that. You decreasing your carbon footprint as a person, yes, that's great. But as far as you polluting the environment less, no, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. That's like me throwing 10 pounds of garbage in your yard, and then I want to get committed because now I'm only throwing 5 pounds of garbage in your yard. Let's be clear. All right? But then let's take it to the personal level. We all walking down the street. How many times do you walk down your street, your neck of the woods, to the metro, wherever you go? Every day, whatever that beaten path you had. How many times would it take for you to see the same piece of trash sitting there before you react to it? How often have you seen someone throw trash on the ground and you just shake your head but you don't say nothing? Or better yet, the youngest that we see out in the street who are a product of our commercialized consumer society, who have no cultural point of relevance, in dealing with society because they have been in tune to the internet and Wendy Williams, how you doing, and that type of thinking. So when they come in groups and they act a little rowdy, we don't say anything. That's part of our environment as well. That's part of our environment as well. And we need to address these things. And so when we, at the festival, these are things that we address. We come together, we put it out here. We don't have any corporate sponsorship. We don't have any grants or initiatives. I'm trying to tell people all the time that we don't have to wait to be validated. You don't have to wait to be validated at all. Hip hop has brought more people together than politicians. All right? More, I mean, across the board. Hip hop started in the South Bronx. And I don't think it's by coincidence that your work started in the same place and spearheading the movement, really, as far as the black, outside of Van Jones, just, you know, you got it, baby, you got it. So hip-hop was born in a part by poor, black, Latino, wasted, throwaway children, you know, who stole power. And then this took 2 turntables. And there's a $1 billion industry. Unfortunately, South Bronx hasn't benefited from that. You see what I'm saying? So here we are in 2010 talking about, well, what can we do to green the ghetto? Well, it's actually even deeper than that. How are we going to be able to survive the falling of this empire? Have you noticed that they talk about the failing economy daily? Daily. Because the fossil fuel model is not working. We know very well that there are wars being fought for oil. You know this. You've seen it polluted an entire ocean for oil. You know this. They're destroying lives. They're destroying environments. And we're sitting here wondering how cheap our gas is going to be. So it has to get to a personal level for us to sankofa our way back to where we were before. And we don't really need a fossil fuel society. It's just a matter of convenience. Now, let me talk about some things that you may not know about. One, there's a hydrogen vehicle available. DC and I believe somewhere in California, the only 2 fueling stations for hydrogen vehicles in this country. There's a hydrogen fueling facility on Bennett Road, Northeast. This hydrogen vehicle emissions are water vapors. It runs twice as far on the same amount of fuel tank as a gas car. But this poses a profit drop in automakers and manufacturers. So you got to understand that there are obstacles out here. I think I'm getting ahead of myself here, but there are obstacles out here. We'll talk about that later on implementing green initiatives. But I just want to point out, we've been doing this festival, the largest annual AIDS mobilization in the city. We have used solar power generators for our electricity. We've recycled every amount of trash that comes through here. We support green training and weatherization programs. So any young people out here that want to get trained in job placement and weatherization, I have that information for you. But I just want to point out, by me being from DC, and one of the few indigenous natives, restless natives in Washington, D.C. You can imagine how many protests and marches I've seen in my lifetime, all right? And these marches, they come to town, and these supposed to be the conscious activists, we're here to change the world people. And they come here, they have their rally on the weekend, they pay the police for their permits, they come in, they go to Starbucks and McDonald's, and they leave their trash in the ground. And I'm just like, this is not the model I'm looking for, you know? So it goes back to the personal accountability. It goes back to personal accountability. And I want to make sure that, and as I said before, we all have our own hypocrisies, you know? So we have to see what we can do to decrease our level of dependency on this system and increase our interdependency on each other. All right? I once was saying to someone like, where do we go for the information? Where do we go for the training? How do we do this? How do we do this? I met a sister who said she just moved to a rural area where she could afford a house and she put solar panels on it. She lived without electricity for a year because she couldn't figure out how to do it herself until she got it right. Her and her husband got it right, they figured it out. I think we have minimized the power that we have, the sweat and equity we have. And as I was saying to my good friend Clyde earlier, is that we need to get away from talking about money, what we don't have. We have resources. We have resources. You know somebody that's an electrician, all right? Get that electrician to help you. If you got to wash his gas guzzling, global warming, sport utility vehicle, do that. Cut his grass. We can barter. There's ways that we can do this. I've been doing a festival for 13 years without funding, and people are still coming to me asking me how you get sponsorship and grants. And I'm saying, you speaking Chinese to me, you know? Well, how do you do it? We make it happen. We make it happen. You can do anything with the right five people. There's 2 of them probably in this room because they're here because you're here. You're interested in the same things. So the resources you're looking for could be right next to you. Right next to you. So I don't have the business model to follow, but what I hope to have is the inspiration to get you up in arms and motivated. Because someone did it for me, and I'm hoping I'll do it for someone in this room. And one of the points I want also to make out is that change comes from the bottom up, not from the top down. We can't look for the heaven, religion, or government to help us. It has to come from us on the ground. You know, if this system was worth anything, if it was the home and free, you saw the incarceration rates and what have you, if this country's business model was actually working, then DC, the capital city of the greatest empire on the planet, would be the city on the hill. It would be the model to follow. We would have the best schools, the best library, the best roads, the best hospital. It would be the one shining example they could point to see, this is the model. And they don't. This is the second worst school system in the country. So obviously they don't know what they're doing. If they ran your household, imagine what the deficit was your debt. The government is in no position to tell us anything about managing finances, and we know that truth is a lost commodity with them. So we cannot look for the government, no matter how popular the person is that's in charge. We cannot look for them. We have to take this upon ourselves. We have to take this upon ourselves. And in closing, I was educated to some of the things that solar energy poses to the world economy. I was able to attend the solar decathlon years back. And this was when, right here in the Smithsonian, all of the universities from all around the world compete with solar modular homes that they constructed. So I was educated to the designs and how it works and the costs and the obstacles to it. And the professor at the Puerto Rican University explained to me that third world countries are primarily located in warm areas. If these third world, so-called fourth countries became energy producers, rather than energy dependent, it would change the world economy. It would change the world economy. But as the world stands now, we have a billionaire that has $5 billion or $50 billion, but 5 billion people have nothing. And that's what this will have to change if we are successful in implementing a green initiative, green economy, green practice, and a holistic approach to living peacefully coexisting on this planet. So I hope that made sense to someone, and I hope a point was made that we can take home to see what we can do differently.
Thank you for that.